Welcome back, everybody. Well, by now you may have already seen some gameplay footage of the Great War, the Western Front. The public demo is now available to the public. I've had it for a couple of days. I know they sent out codes to a bunch of YouTube creators. I just really haven't had the chance to sit down and actually record anything. So I have played through some of the campaign. I've also played a little bit of the historic battle that they have available, which is Passchendaele. Pretty limited, the features that are currently available, but it is now available on Steam if you want to download the public demo and check it out for yourself. So I'm just going to highlight some of the features of the campaign. Especially want to take a look at what I think is one of the most exciting and dynamic features of this game, which is the research tree, because that really unlocks a lot of really game-changing features. And we don't really get to play with that a whole lot because the only time you need to really jump into things is in the late war stage. So there is a tutorial that is available. I've played through all of the tutorial, and it starts with the Americans arrive, and then you kind of go through all of this. We're going to pick up with continuing the war, because that's going to allow for us to just kind of jump right in. And rather than play through and show you all of the features, what I really want to do is just highlight some things that I like and some things that I think might be a little bit challenging about the game. First of all, I want to say up front that I think what limited amount of this game I've been able to play so far, I feel like it really does capture the nature of World War I. What is the nature of World War I? It's trench warfare. It's technology that you hope will change things, like tanks and gas, and developing new tactics and stormtroopers and flamethrowers and different things. And then just the futile nature of launching these mass assaults that cost the lives of thousands. What I've experienced so far in the game, attacking is really, really hard, and defending is super easy, even when you're heavily outnumbered if you do it right. So that seems to be pretty much in keeping with what you would expect. So once you've completed all of the tutorial, you get this choice where you can keep playing or exit and choose a different game mode. So we're going to continue. And it has this national will feature, which is actually, I think, a really cool way to simulate what was going on in World War I, because World War I really did, in a lot of ways, come down to how things were going on the home front. I mean, look at Russia and how they ended up out of the war. And look at the fact that in places like Germany, you end up seeing the Kaiser have to abdicate just before the peace is agreed upon. So there's a lot of things I like about how I think they do a pretty good job of capturing a very unique war. And of course, we're only dealing with the Western Front. And the national will score, once it gets down to 0, you lose the war and the game. And there are a lot of things that can affect the national will as time goes on. A draw, for example, on a battlefield drops both of you down a little bit. A great victory, obviously, would drop the other side and increase yours. And then, of course, we've got all of these different things going on the battlefield. I'm not going to take the time to explain all of this, but I do want to look at the research tree a little bit and just show some of this off, because I've seen a lot of people do the gameplay, but I haven't seen a lot of people dive too deeply into the research tree. Different things happen throughout the game that give you points each turn that you can use, and I think each turn is a month in the game, but a lot can happen in one turn. So you can see what's been unlocked so far. And what it does. There's stat boosts, improved helmets, increased standard infantry soldier health by 25%, increased rifle damage by 25%, unlocks Field Hospital 1 structure, which reduces the national will lost and replenishes soldiers by 20%. And you can go all the way up to things like Hardened Hearts, which increases the maximum morale for all infantry companies by 20%. Officers Club, there's gas masks that will help protect you against things that the enemy do. We'll do observation balloons are really important on the battlefield because they help you see things and help you to understand maybe where the enemy's weak points are, and that's huge. But you can send up planes to shoot down observation balloons, and so flight, obviously, there's a lot that you can do. And I can see how the mechanic of research would come in handy where you would want to respond to things the enemy does on the battlefield. So once you know the enemy's got these balloons, for example, then you want to make sure that you've got the research into flight to where you can shoot them down. If you know that the enemy has gas, then you're going to have to make sure that you're researching the gas mask feature so that you can counter that. And then, of course, you can improve the kind of gas. You start out with gas shells which have tear gas, which is what was used earlier in the war, but then you can eventually work your way up to mustard gas and phosgene gas and chlorine gas. It's all very historical stuff. Logistics over here. Supply is a huge component in the game. You'll see once we get in battles how you're really limited by the amount of supply that you have. Supply is a huge component, as I said. So intelligence then, of course, helps you to see what's going on and get a lot of information, which is key. So there's so much here, but it really, this is where the replayability of the game, I think, comes in, because depending on how you pursue these different trees, you're going to have a very different game experience from one game to the next. Each location on the battlefield, you can see the stars, and basically that's showing you, you don't just attack one time, drive the guy from the battlefield and win the battle and move into that position. When you win a battle, you actually knock one of their stars away, and then you have to assault again to knock the other one down. So it takes a lot, just like it did historically, to actually move the front line. So you're not going to see huge, you're not in the course of 6 months going to advance all the way back to the enemy's lines. It takes a long time to even make minor changes on the front line, just like it would be historically. So I like that a lot. And you can see each one of your territories that you own, you have the ability to unlock things like an airfield, field hospital, and of course it all depends on what research you've done. Mechanic garage, which increases supply granted by tank battalions. Supply is everything. Supply is basically your capacity to be able to do things on the battlefield. When we get into a battle, I'll show you that. Here's your supply pipeline, your regional supply, your regional morale. Here are the number of corps you have, and then those numbers you see underneath show you how many companies you have of different types of troops. You can send care packages, you can do counter intel, you can do army intel, regional intel. A lot of this is not stuff I'm going to dive into too heavily because I mainly want to show you the combat that we have now. So here we have things like a French air wing that we can put in. There's siege artillery, which siege artillery allow you to do like a number of days of assault, of artillery to soften up the target before you try and advance. We've got French, American infantry and tanks there. And when you have a mix of different nations, there are certain penalties that you take for that because of obviously the quirks of having to deal with command of multiple nations, because you have that in places where they overlap. And then, of course, the strength that you have of different things based on where you are. And so you can see where weaknesses and strengths might be. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and hit end turn real quick because I want to get Germany to attack me somewhere so I can show a little bit of the combat. So here we go. Central Powers are going to attack. They have 7 corps in the region. You can see here that I'm pretty limited in terms of what I've got, but thankfully I've got artillery, which is really handy. It estimates the auto-resolve outcome is that it will be a great loss for me. I don't recommend using auto-resolve unless you've got a high chance of success. Because even when it says great loss like this, there's a good chance you can win the battle if you defend well. Alright, so I've removed my face cam so you can see everything that's happening here on the game. So as you get into these battlefields are persistent, which means if I upgrade or add trenches, say I put in some communications trenches in here, the next time we fight on the Nancy sector of the front, all of those changes that I made will still be there. So those things develop, and so they matter. They don't matter just one time. Whatever you put in, it matters long term. So here are the supplies that we have, and supplies are how we purchase things. The command cap is the number of companies we can have on the map at any one time, which means we can max out at 30 companies. If a company gets wiped out or we withdraw it from the battlefield, then we can add a new one. Because, of course, we have 60 French infantry companies, 3 companies of French raiders, and 3 of flamethrowers that are available. And this is the amount of supply it costs to put each one of those on the battlefield. So, yeah, I can put some trenches on here, for example, but I'm pretty quickly going to run out. If I put a blockhouse in, I could put 4 blockhouses, and now I can't put any infantry whatsoever. And then support structures, of course, machine gun nests. So machine gun nest is 40. So if I put a couple of those out there, I'm pretty quickly going to use up my supply. I am going to go ahead and do that. This is a smaller front than some of the ones that we will see, but I'm gonna put this machine gun nest right here. I'm gonna try to get at least one in each sector here. I think we might do 2 here, and they have to be connected to your trench. And then we'll do 1 over on this side, and that'll cover most of the field. But see, now we're down to just 245 in supply. I want to have at least 1 heavy field artillery. I'd like to have a balloon, but since I'm not attacking, I don't think balloons are as necessary. We're mostly just going to be responding to what the enemy does. Now, artillery can be hit. Now, we've got 155 left. That's more than enough to be able to put my companies out, because it's only going to cost me... I can do 30 companies, so 90 supply to get my max number of companies if I do just all straight infantry. And that's going to be more than enough to be able to cover the front line, plus put some in reserve too. So I'll go ahead and do that. And we'll see where we're at once we have all of our front line trenches covered. And like I said, I could add to the trenches, but I'm not going to do that this time because my amount of supply is limited. I can still put 13 more companies. So I'm going to put a few in reserve. Oh, it looks like I need to... I doubt he's going to attack through these woods, but it's certainly possible that he could. I'm going to put this area a little less strongly defended and kind of keep the front lines the way that they are. And then, like I said, I want to make sure I have some reserve. I can still do 7 more, so... I think we'll go ahead and put 1 more there. We can do 3 more. And then, like I said, I can put more later on if the situation arises. Still have 68 supply left that can be used for other features during the game. So let's go ahead and begin the battle. Okay, so battles, there'll be 20 minutes of game time. You can speed it up a little bit or go half speed. Each of our French infantry companies has 225 men, but morale can cause them to break long before they lose that number. Home advantage infantry companies cost less supply to field as reinforcements because we are fighting in France. I want to see where this unit is. For some reason, he wasn't showing as being behind the front line. So now we can kind of look at our main map over here, and we'll be able to see when the enemy comes in. This is his overall strength up at the top, and you can see kind of where it's showing who's winning versus who's losing. But like I said, doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. We don't have any siege artillery. We don't have air support. We don't have observation balloons. So none of those options are available right now. We do have 203 supply available to us. Just the 1 set of heavy field artillery. And we've got the option to do a precision barrage. We don't have gas attack because I don't think we have the tech for that. And we don't have air burst because I don't think we have the tech for that either. Air burst is really effective. I've used it. It'll explode overhead, and it really decimates a frontline company. Okay, so he hasn't launched an attack yet, but I did notice that I actually, because I've got this machine gun nest so close to the front, I've actually got a little bit of sight of where he is, and it looks like that's where he's going to attack from first. So let's go ahead and use... I was about to hit him with artillery anyway. I'm going to have my artillery fire right there, and hopefully it'll land on these companies right as they're coming into the area. Beautiful. You can see the damage they're taking. We've already driven 2 companies back. It doesn't take a lot to drive off a company. He's hitting me with his artillery now. And you can see this little kind of no sign. That basically means they're not able to return fire at that moment because they're taking cover from the artillery. And you can see things happening up here. We did lose one of our machine gun nests. It was this one up here. It was probably taken out by his artillery. But we're driving off the companies pretty well so far. You can see how many companies he's already lost up here on the top on the bar. It shows the amount of casualties. And he will likely, if I'm able to drive him off, and I fully expect that I will. All right, here comes a bomber. He's got a Gota bomber coming in. Oh, and he's bombing my artillery. That's smart. And I've got no answer for that because I don't have any air support here to be able to send up some fighters to deal with that. But at some point, he may pursue a ceasefire just because of how things are going, and he doesn't want it to continue. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually withdraw one of my companies that's taken some hits, and I'm going to move one of the reserve companies into that spot so we have fresh troops up there while we're in between attacks. Ah, there it is. He's already requested the ceasefire. It's hard to attack on this game, as it should be. So now we're going to get to the end of the battle, and we're going to get to see some of what happened. We're going to see all of the effects, any medals that we earned, which give us bonuses. We're going to be able to see exactly the numbers as far as casualties were on each side. And even though that was a pretty quick battle, it only lasted a couple minutes, see that he lost 4,000 infantry. Or at least... yeah, that's the score value. So that's the number. 4,000 casualties, 50 grenadiers, and there's the score value of that. Here's the overall score. Your units, they replenish their losses in between battles, and so you have to spend for those replenishments. And then it's a great victory, so it's plus 10 for me, minus 20 for him. And then here are the medals. Efficiency medal granted to those who do a lot with a little. A measure of the ratio between the percentage of the supply cap spent versus the score gained from the spending. So you don't want to just blow all your supply every time because you can get bonuses for not using a lot of that supply. Life medal, command medal, that gives you money. So you gain different things from each of these battle honors that you are able to accomplish. So here you see the result of the great victory. There's our replenishment cost. There's no status change in the stars, but I gained 10 to national will. He took a 22 hit. That's about a fifth of his remaining national will, so that's a big deal. New research grants, research points per turn increased to 2. So instead of 1 per turn, we're now getting 2. So those, of course, are things that we can spend. Enemy spies have been confirmed in our territory, so that's a minus 5 to national will. So now we could spend these research points. So this would be a good opportunity, I think. We're going to unlock the ability for gas shells. Tear gas, but then we could upgrade that to chlorine gas. And this roughly follows the real-life progression. Chlorine gas was the first legit poison gas that was used on the Western Front. And then, of course, they go to phosgene gas, which is nastier still. And then eventually mustard gas, which mustard gas is the stuff that even if you had a gas mask, it would stick in your clothes and it would eat at your skin. It didn't have to be inhaled to hurt you, so you can eventually go that way. So right here is an opportunity for us to actually break through the German lines. Now, he's got a lot of troops on that spot. But we're going to go ahead and load up ourselves. I'm just going to load up as much as I can into this territory. Chateau Thierry is where it's pretty close to Belleau Wood, places like that where the Americans first get involved. But Rethel, he only has 1 star there, so it's a chance for us to actually make a move, a significant move. It's going to be tough, though, because, like I said, attacks are really hard in this game, but we're going to try it. Okay, so we've got 1,500 supply here. I'm definitely going to use an observation balloon because we are on the attack. And you can see on the mini-map, depending on where you put the balloon, how much you're going to be able to see. And I definitely want to be able to see. It's a pretty long distance across no man's land here, and it's pretty cratered, as you can see. I'm going to put it right here. I think that'll be close enough. I'm going to try to hit him and take X because it's a little closer. I'm going to load up on this side. We're definitely going to need some heavy field artillery, and I want to make sure that that's got the range, and it looks like it does from here. And you can do rolling barrages if you have the technology for that. And I definitely am going to want... You can actually, for 500, if you have the tech, you can do an undermine explosive. And you can blow a massive hole in his defenses, which can be really handy. The problem is I can't see where his defenses are. So I'm really kind of flying blind as far as that goes. So I don't think I want to spend all of that supply when I know I'm going to have to probably launch multiple attack waves in order to make this happen. So we've got 60 French infantry companies, 60 American infantry companies. We've got light tanks, which are not real great for attacking across trenches. We've got raiders, and then we've got flamethrowers. So I think I'll save the flamethrowers for when I can get a toehold in his trenches. If I can get a couple of companies in some frontline trenches, then I'll send up the raiders and the flamethrowers so they don't just get massacred marching across no man's land. Okay, so we've got our initial placement here. I did put some units, a lightly held line on my left in case he decides to advance, because I've seen that happen. But we've loaded up pretty heavily, and these units are going to get just slaughtered. They're not going to have a lot of success in the initial waves, but we'll have to send multiple waves to even begin to make a toehold on his trench lines. Okay, so we are into the battle now. First thing we want to do is we want to raise our balloon so we can get a view of what's happening. Available air support, because we've got a lot of supply, we've got a lot of options here. Air superiority mission. We can send out fighters. We can send balloon busters. We can do a bombing run. We can do harassment missions where bombers will try to strafe any soldiers that are out in the open. Now we can see, okay, he does have balloons. So I do like the idea of going on a balloon busting mission here. Let's go ahead and send some fighters to go deal with that first before we do a lot else. Alright, so we'll let our balloon busters do their thing. Where did my balloon? No, it's still there. Okay. For some reason I can't see, though. Not entirely sure why I've lost the ability to see with my balloon. Oh, did I? I guess I gotta raise it back up. Interesting. Come on, shoot that thing down. There it goes. Perfect. Alright, the next thing we want to do, of course, is start... oh, we can do gas attacks because we have tear gas. It's going to take a lot of supply to do that. I'm actually going to pause here so that I can line these all up at the same time. And then we're going to go ahead and start launching our first wave attack. We've got some tanks as well. I don't have the ability to do a creeping barrage, or else I would do that. But I'll start sending them all forward. And I'm probably going to go to half speed. Yeah, hopefully this tear gas does the job. I think I might have launched it a little bit too far behind. Oh, they're pulling out because of that. Excellent. I need to try and take out these machine guns. So my tanks can go over some trenches. I might have sent them in there a little too kind of haphazard without a real plan. But they're at least going to disrupt him, and I think it's going to help. We got to take out this. All right, we took that out. All right, the problem is we're going into the gas while it's still there, it seems. But boy, that gas worked really well, because usually you don't have this much success this quickly in overrunning trenches, but we're hardly there. So you can see I've already lost 5 of my battalion. So let's go back now and start getting some reinforcements. We're going to send up a couple of units of flamethrowers and a couple of units of reinforcements. French infantry I'm using so far. The nice thing, having as much supply as we do is the only thing that's making any of this possible. Because when you're limited by supply, you really have a hard time having any chance at getting into the front trenches like this. But you really have to get into these trenches. You're out in the open, you're in trouble. Alright, he's got some reinforcements coming. So this is a good opportunity, I think, to send in a bombing run. I'm going to send it right there and see if I can hit them in the trench while they're going. Alright, they're withdrawing, so that's working. A lot of the units that are up there anyway. The bombing run's coming in a little too late, so he won't even be in those trenches anymore by the time we get there. But what we want to do is we want to take X here. So we want to try and advance up here, get more troops into the area where they'll actually take that. Alright, let's get some more troops coming up now. Let's send a couple more tanks. One with a cannon, one with a machine gun. And then we're going to send some more. Here's all of our reinforcements we sent before. We actually overran this pretty well. Much better than I expected. Oh, he's launching some artillery. We should not have sent those guys that way. I think we've got these trenches. That's the easiest time I've ever had taking trenches. And he's pretty weak as far as what he's got available. So I think once we have secured X, and there's his artillery back there, we might be able to take out that artillery. Actually, that might be a good opportunity for a bombing run. But we'll sit here and fire at it a little bit too. He's got a machine gun back there protecting it, so we got to be careful. We've secured a control point, so now we can reinforce from that point. Now we need to start moving on his other points, and he's got machine guns up here, so we got to be careful. In fact, let's pause for a second and let's get some artillery on that spot, and maybe some gas too. Probably should have done that before I tried to send my guys up into the front trenches there. Alright, we've got the ability to reinforce again. And we can reinforce from this spot now. That machine gun's still firing on me. I'm actually going to redirect some of these guys over there to deal with that. Here comes our bombing run on the artillery. That was pretty effective. And now we'll finish them. I should have sent this tank up there sooner. Oh yeah, he's sending a wave at me too, so we're going to have some real fighting going on now. But again, big advantage on supply is going to make all the difference here. So let's get some more artillery fire coming down on him. Come on, hit him before he moves. There we go. Perfect. Now, unfortunately, he's going to drive me out of here. But the good news is now we've got these reinforcements. So let's go ahead and start sending them over. We're going to weaken him to the point where he's not going to have anything left. And we'll be able to just be able to overwhelm him with numbers. Oh man, that's a big chunk of German soldiers right there. I'm gonna hold these guys right here while we hit this spot with artillery. Come on, hit him. Beautiful. Alright, we're moving on him. Now he's going to focus everybody on this side. So we're going to send him up this way. Let's get our last few tanks. These light tanks are pretty easy for the enemy to take out. But they can be effective. And like I said, I just have the numbers. I've got way more reserves than he has. So we'll just keep throwing men at him until he runs out. Okay, artillery. Hit him in the open. Perfect. Called that in at just the right spot. Here come our tanks now. We've got one with a machine gun, one with a cannon. Both can be effective. Here come our reinforcements. And we're just going to keep moving until we are able to take Y. Now we've also got these guys down here. Now he may have some machine guns up here that are just waiting for me to do this, but we can at least probe and see what we're up against. Alright, artillery. Let's hit him again. We just got to keep throwing waves at him until he runs out of men. Yeah, he's got machine guns up there. I was afraid of that. This is not the best coordinated attack. And it's a pretty sloppy one on my part, but it's late in the war, so I can kind of get away with this a little more. Whereas early in the war, I'd probably want to be much more careful about my resources. Oh man, we're way down on reserves now. Let's send in the Americans.
Reinforcements reporting. Reinforcements ready.
More waves of Germans coming, which means time for more artillery. Oh, I can't quite reach there with that artillery. Here come our American reinforcements.
We need to hold this position. The brass wants this piece of ground. On the line.
All right, do we have any more bombing runs we can do? Yes, we can. Oh boy, he's got artillery. Oh, and he hit me just as I was crossing those trenches. That was bad. Oh, this is his command post right here. We should be going for that instead of the... Oh man, we just lost a bunch of battalions, or a bunch of companies.
Looks like we're late to the party. Reporting for duty.
Yeah, I was pretty reckless in this attack. I took the first one pretty easily, but then we just got reckless and started attacking from his flank, thinking it would be easy, and I've just lost a ton of men I didn't need to lose. I should have gone for the command post first.
Stand by for orders. Ready on the line. Ready yourselves. On the line.
I'm going to send these guys into these trenches.
Raise the white flag. We have new orders. Ready on the fire step. We have new orders. Get in position.
Yeah, he's coming at me. Man. Send some more French in. He is overwhelming my trenches right now.
Protect this position. Put your weapons down. Tenez-vous prêt. Reinforcements reporting. Reinforcements ready. Attention.
Okay, we're going to send the French in here.
Préparez-vous sur la ligne. Le commandement veut cette position. Attendez les ordres. Sur la ligne. We can't win this.
Alright, we're starting to take his command post now. He's sending in conscripts at this point.
Tenez-vous prêts. En position de tir.
I probably should have just occupied these trenches to begin with, instead of launching attacks. Lesson learned.
Préparez-vous sur la ligne. Ready yourselves. Ready on the line. Homme fort. On est arrivé. On attend les ordres. On attend les ordres.
Alright, now we just wait and see what happens. We still have almost half the battle. Now we just try to throw back what he's got left while we take his command post.
On a de nouveaux ordres. Attention, on tient. On a de nouveaux ordres. En position de tir.
I'm gonna pull these weakened units out and get stronger ones in the trenches here. Alright, we just about took his command post. I don't know if that ends the battle right away or not, because I've never done it before. But I don't want to do a ceasefire, because I want to win this and be able to drive him out of here. Their command trench is ours. They will soon fall. Now we just need to withstand against these attacks. He's throwing everything he's got at me now. I got a lot of reinforcements back here. Alright, artillery.
Arms up, boys.
I don't want to move on his other spot just because I'm afraid he's still got too many men for me to deal with. And I don't think raising the balloon's going to help me with that either. Let's send an air superiority mission to fly over this site so we can see what's going on here. See what he's got left. Yeah, hopefully he... Oh, they surrendered? Who surrendered? One of my units did. He's going to keep launching attacks at me. That's going to make my job a little easier. Oh, he's coming at me from back here. That's why. Alright. So let's be careful. And let's send a couple of French companies over here to defend against whatever he's sneaking around trying to do back here. There's something going on back there. Otherwise, we'll let him keep hitting me.
Put your weapons down.
Why is nobody shooting here?
We can't win this. We have new orders. We're moving.
Alright, I think we're going to have to advance. I'm going to send fresh American companies forward. Yeah, we're getting low on supply now. But that's okay.
We have new orders. On the line.
Actually, just throw these guys in here.
Arms up, boys.
Reinforcements are coming.
Stand by for orders. The brass wants this piece of ground.
They're jumping down into the trenches now. Man, look at how many guys die and how quickly they die. It's crazy, but I mean, that's reality in this war. So we'll speed things up a little bit here.
Ready on the fire staff. Baissez les armes. Ready yourselves. Get in position. Raise the white flag.
Alright, we're going to start driving them out of these trenches now. Pushing the front line forward a little bit. Alright, artillery, come on. Beautiful. Yeah, he's taking a lot of losses. This is going to be a bloody, bloody battle.
On a de nouveaux ordres. Attention, we need to go. C'est trop. Retraite. Ready on the line. C'est perdu. On capitule. Tenez-vous prêts. Préparez-vous à tirer. We can't win this.
Only 5 minutes left. We need to try and take that other objective, but he's still just got too many men.
Attention. Attendez les ordres. Surrender. Sur la ligne. Raise the white flag. On rend les armes, soldats.
Enemy has cut down 4 whole corps. Yeah, that's bad. Alright, let's do a ceasefire. See where we're at. I don't know if that'll be enough to knock him down a star or not. -8 for both. It was a stalemate, which means it's not going to change anything. But look at the casualties. We lost 15,000 men. But we also inflicted about 16,000 casualties. Whew, that was brutal. Okay, so pretty substantial replenishment cost there. 2,000, which is a big chunk of what we had. National will down on both sides, but the status does not change because we did not succeed in breaking through on them. So not going to happen this time around anyway. And now he's going to attack at Soissons with Léon. But you get the point. I mainly just wanted to show you how the game looks and kind of some of the features are available. This game is available now for you to download and play the demo. I think the full game comes out in about a month and a half. And you can pre-order it now, so definitely check that out over on Steam. And if there's any particular features of the game you want to see, or you want to see me play more of this demo, there's not a lot to it. Like I said, we can only just play out the end of the war here. Then let me know, and we can do that. Thanks for watching.